Hey friends, welcome back to Homeschool-ology. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Nikki. I'm a homeschooling mom of 4. We're currently got an 8th grader, 4th grader, kindergartner, and pre-Ker. We are in our 9th year of homeschooling, which means we've been doing this from the very beginning of our schooling career. And on this channel, I like to share with you guys mostly secular homeschooling, but I also share a little bit about motherhood, having a larger family, and just, our lives in general. We enjoy sharing. I enjoy sharing what works for us, what doesn't work for us, things like that with you guys to help you along your journey. So today's video is going to be for my new homeschoolers out there. So this video is best for someone who has decided that they want to homeschool, and where do you go from there? So I want you experienced homeschoolers to stick around because I want you guys to add your comments down below in the comment section, because any information these new mommies or families have to start their homeschooling journey, the better. So please stick around and share those comments down below for our new homeschoolers. So we're going to jump into the video, which is 8 steps for new homeschoolers. All right, here we go. Step number 1. Now I am going to talk a little bit about homeschooling from scratch, from the get-go, from people starting out with pre-K kindergartners and homeschoolers who are going to be pulling their children out of a school system like a private school or a public school. So I will add timestamps. So if I'm talking about something that's maybe not, doesn't pertain to you, you can skip over to the next timestamp. But that I'm going to try to talk about both things today. My experience, we started from, right from the beginning. So that's my most accurate information that I have for you. But that also was 9 years ago. Some things change, but that's what I'm going to share. So number 1 is enroll your child in homeschooling. So this one is going to be a little bit different from place to place. Each state has their own laws, their own requirements, their own processes. So I can't really do a lot of explaining here. I am going to explain what to do in Florida because that's where I live. And then, but the easiest thing to do here is just do a simple Google search for homeschooling in whatever area you are in, and it will come up. It will come up what you need to do, or you can call your school district and they can help you as well. So let me talk about Florida. If you are a complete newbie, you're enrolling your kid in school for the very first time, you are going to fill out a letter of intent. It varies from county to county, but if you just go to your county's school district's website, the directions will be there. My county, they literally have a form. You print it out, fill it out, scan it, email it in. It's really that simple. When I started with my oldest, they didn't have an email. You had to print it out and send it in via mail. If your area requires that you do that by mail, I highly recommend getting sending it certified mail, so they will have a little sticker that they have to sign off that they received it, and then you will have proof that you sent it in. That way, there's no, if it gets lost in the mail or something happens, they can't say they never received it because you will have proof that they did. So I highly recommend that. It's a few extra dollars, but it will be worth it in case anything happens. But that's how simple it is. Now, that is for people starting out fresh. People who are withdrawing your child from school. You have to do that first. You actually have to go withdraw your child first before you can enroll them in a homeschooling program. So just keep that in mind, that your step is going to be a little bit longer because you're going to have to go withdraw first and then send in that letter of intent or whatever the procedure is for your area. This is, of course, is for if you're going to go through the public school system. There are umbrella schools that you can enroll in. I don't know much about that, but I'm sure a Google search will be able to help you with that, and that is another option. So if you don't want to be tied to the public school system at all, there are umbrella schools that you can enroll in, at least for Florida. I don't know about other states if that's allowed or not, but in Florida, umbrella schools is another option for you. Okay, so number 2, and this one you might not think that you need, but you need it. And that is write a mission statement for your homeschool. And what does a mission statement include? You don't have to actually like write it out all formally if you don't want to, but basically it's like, what are our values? What are we going to, what do we want our kids to get out of our homeschool? What's important to us? What are the goals that we are going to try to meet? And this is going to be important. And I do want you to physically write it down. It can be bullet points. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but I want you to write it down and save it somewhere, because I want you to be able to come back to this. If you're getting overwhelmed or you're feeling like you're trying to do all the things, go back to what your goals were. Are you doing things that you are unnecessary to meet the goals that you set for yourself? And of course, you're going to want to reevaluate this, every year, reevaluate, what your mission is and what your goals are. But I definitely think it's an important step to go ahead and do. All right, number 3, I put this one on and took it off and put it on and took it off, and I couldn't decide, but in the end I decided that I do think that this is valuable. So it is research homeschool styles, okay? Why do I think this is valuable? Because it can help you narrow down your search for the next step that we're going to talk about. So I think that this is valuable because it gives you a direction to start in, so you feel less overwhelmed. Now, here's what I want you to keep in mind when you are doing this. Pick a style or pick multiple styles. We here are eclectic homeschoolers. I pick bits and pieces that I like from a couple of different styles and put that together to form our style, which can be done. So pick something to help you narrow down your search, but don't be so rigid in it that you don't allow yourself to explore other avenues, because you're going to use year 1 of homeschooling as your experiment year. You're not going to have major lofty goals. It's not going to look perfect. It's not going to be exactly the way you imagined, but you are going to use it as your experiment to see what works for you, what needs adjustment, and so what you're ideal picturing, that might not work for your family, and you need to be okay with reevaluating and readjusting, especially in that first year. So while I think this is a very valuable step to help you along your process, I don't want you to feel completely rigid and tied down or feel like you have to pick just one. You can pick multiple, try multiple, but it's worth looking at. I do have a video on the different kinds of homeschooling styles. It of course doesn't incorporate everything or encompass everything, but it's the ones that I thought were the most common or the most utilized out there. And so I will link that video in the playlist, and I'll try to remember to link it down below and up here if I can for you guys. But it does explain them, what they are, and and then I talk about at the end like what we are and which ones I use and things like that. So that video might be helpful to you along the way. All right, number 4, you're going to research curriculum. So this is the part that is daunting for a lot of people. And if I don't have a video specific to this, which I'm not sure that I do, if I do, I'll link it. If I don't, I'll make one. But I know for a fact I have videos that I'll link on the playlist that are like my process and things that I do to choose a curriculum. So I will link those for you guys. And there are so many options out there. You guys don't know how lucky you are. Well, lucky and unlucky. I think I can argue both ways. But when I started out, it was just, we had so limited options, especially as secular homeschoolers. Most of the curriculum out there was designed for religious homeschoolers, and we didn't want that in our homeschool. And so we maybe had 1 to 3 options to choose from for curriculum for each subject, and so now there are so many options available to you. New things come out every year, all the time. And so it's both a blessing and a little bit of a curse, because you have a lot of options you have to review now. But there are so many out there, and they range from completely free to a whole lot, so that is something you're going to have to look at. Do you need to look at free resources because that's what works for your budget? There are a lot out there. We use Khan Academy, and I've used Core Knowledge for a few things. I've talked about this before, but if you're completely new to this, I don't use a ton of free resources, because basically curriculum is like this scale, and it can be free, it can cost less, but it's going to cost a lot more of your time. And then the scale is going to tip this way. So the more, the more expensive they are, the less time, the more things are done for you, the less time you're going to have to invest. So I try to find that kind of like happy medium ground as to what I use or develop on my own versus what I buy. That is already, this work's already done for me, because I just don't have, all that time to invest. I do other things. I have other responsibilities. So it's a little bit of there are tons of free things out there. You're just going to have to spend a little bit more time finding them, developing them to, manipulating them to make them work for your homeschool. Now, while we're talking about curriculum, I'm just going to mention like full box curriculums, like all-in-ones. They are not my personal favorite. I always feel like a child is going to be ahead in some areas and need more help in other areas. And I just don't feel like, I feel like those are maybe not worth the money, because you're going to not use all the pieces, or something's going to work, but something else might not. So I don't really find value in those, except for Temperdoodle, because Temperdoodle you can take things out that you don't want, add things in that you need, adjust the levels. You don't have to buy a specific level, all the same 8th grade material. You can adjust and go up and down where you need. And so I just think that one is really valuable. Everything else, I personally like to piece my things together, and that's what we do here. So that is curriculum. One thing I want you to remember here is that you're going to start small. So I don't want you to pick all the things. I don't want you to buy a curriculum for every subject that there is. You're going to get something for math, and you're going to get something for English, English language arts. And then you're going to maybe get one more thing, whether that's science or history or art or whatever you think is going to be engaging and fun for you and your child, because you're not going to start with everything all at once. That's going to overwhelm you, not only you as the instructor in your homeschool, but your homeschooling students as well. So don't do that, guys. Start small, because you can always add in, but it's really, you're wasting your money, your time, your frustration trying to do everything all from the get-go. So start small. Pick a couple, add on from there. Okay, so let's talk about step number 5. So now you've set your mission goal, what what style you kind of like, you've looked at your curriculum, you've decided what you're going to use. And now what I want you to do is make a plan. So I want this plan to incorporate everything from like what time of day you think you guys might want to be homeschooling. Are you a type of family that likes to get up, have breakfast, and homeschool, and then do the, whatever you want for the rest of the day? Or are you like my family, where we are not morning people? So we get up, we hang out for a little bit, we have lunch, then we start our school day. So you're going to think about things like that. You're going to think about, how many times a week am I going to do math? How many times a week am I going to do language arts? What is that going to look like? What are our extracurriculars that we're going to be doing? So things like sports or art classes outside of your home. And start thinking about those kinds of things. And you're going to make a plan. You're going to make a general roadmap. These are the things that we're going to try to cover. These are the times when I think I want to try to cover them. You're going to make a plan. However, this is going to be a very loose plan, and you are going to tell yourself from the get-go that you are not sticking to this plan. This is not exactly how the year is going to go, because it will not go that way, okay? So you need a roadmap. If we're taking a road trip, we're trying to get from, New York to California, we need a roadmap. We need are we going to go high? Are we going to go low? Are we going to go in the middle? But we're not going to stick to that exact path, because if we see something, a need that needs to be met, or a stop we want to make along the way, we are going to allow ourselves to do that, or to make that stop or make those adjustments. So we are not going to stick to this plan exactly. We're going to make it, and we know we're going to change it along the way. So that is going to be step number 5. Step number 6 is, this is a reiteration of things that I've already said many, many times, but it's going to be start slow. You are going to get started. So you're going to set your start date. You're going to start on that day, and you're going to start slow. You're going to start with just those 3 subjects that we talked about, and you're going to see how things go. And we're going to do this in baby steps so that it's not overwhelming to me, the instructor, or my children, my homeschool students. We're gonna start slow. Here I want to talk about if you withdraw your child from a school setting, you are going to need to de-school. You can Google this. There's lots of information out there on this, but you are going to need to take some time to adjust to not doing school the way the public school system does school. And so you are going to need this time in the beginning to kind of work your way up. Start small and build a little bit, each week by week, add a little bit more, adjust a little bit more. But you are going to start small. Set your start date, but start very slowly. And I do this every single year that we start a new year. So we start a new year in August. We do homeschool year round. So that means, we might still have just, we might have just finished something up. But when we start a whole new year, we're getting out most of our new curriculum. We're starting our new year. We start small. Every year, we start with just math, language arts, and something fun. And then we add in all those other things that I want to add in over the course of a few weeks. This just helps us, get into a groove nice and easy without an abrupt change to how our lives are. So that's a step number 6. Step number 7, you're going to keep a log. So there are several ways you can do this. Some are going to be as simple as just like writing down each day what you did in a notebook. I use a planner. I have plenty of videos on this. I'll try to link some here and maybe on the playlist. I don't know about that, but maybe. But it basically, you're going to keep some kind of log of the activity that you are doing. And you're going to keep work samples for your child. Things that they have written, things that they have done, art projects they've made. You're going to keep those samples because those are things you're going to need, especially, for here, definitely for the state of Florida, you have to create a portfolio. Those are the 2 major things you need in your portfolio. But you're going to need to check your area because you might have requirements as far as like keeping number of hours that you do every day or marking the number of days or whatever. But basically this step is, I'm calling it, just keep records. And that's what you're going to do as you go along. Another part of this, whether your state requires it or not, like I know Texas doesn't require any of that, I think you should still do it because this information is going to be valuable to you when you are reevaluating your year at the end of the year. This information is going to help you when you're getting ready for your year 2 or when maybe you get to Christmas break and you want to restructure things because things aren't working or you feel like you guys can do more or whatever. But keeping this log, seeing what is working and what isn't working is going to be valuable information for you for your continued years. So this is something that I think that you do whether your state requires it or not. And lastly is number 8. I'm putting it here at the end, but this can happen anywhere along this process for you. But I adding it to this list because I think it is so important for you to be successful with homeschooling. And that is find a homeschooling community. Whether that's as simple as here on YouTube or on Facebook or on Instagram, which are fine, but I do feel like it is so valuable to find in-person homeschool community. Whether, some areas are small, I know they can't support that, but a lot of areas, they already have these groups in place, and finding people who are doing things like you, like homeschooling, you're going to find, these groups are going to be comprised of people who are starting out, but also people who have been doing this for a while. People who know what you need to do, what's expected, how to do these things, what curriculum works and what doesn't work. These are going to be people who are just full of information that are going to be able to help you so much that it's going to provide opportunities for your children to socialize, opportunities for you to socialize, just be able to vent about having a bad day or get tips and tricks on how to improve things for you. It's so valuable. We didn't have a homeschool community in year 1. We didn't find ours until year 2, and that was such a difference. What a difference that made for us. So I highly encourage you to find a homeschool community locally. If all you've got is Facebook and Instagram and here on YouTube, that still will be very helpful to you. But if you can find that in-person community, it can be so valuable. Please do that. And like I said, this step can happen anywhere along the way. So that, you've decided to homeschool your kids. you can start looking for that community. That can happen anywhere along the way. Even if you're just interested in homeschooling, finding that homeschooling group and seeing what it's all about might help you, you know, with your decision. So that is why I've stuck it here at the end, because I just didn't know where to put it in the beginning, but I do feel like it's like one of the most important things you can do if you're starting out with homeschooling. That is all I'm going to share with you guys today. I hope you found this helpful if you are just starting out. If you are a seasoned homeschooler, please make sure you're sharing your tips and tricks down in the comments below, because I'm sure I've missed something along the way. Look for that playlist if you're just starting out. I'm going to be making it for you guys so you have lots of tips and tricks for getting started. You know I have videos on like things like, you know, what I wish I would have known when I was starting out, or the biggest mistakes I made when I was starting out, or what our early homeschool looked like versus, you know, if you have a bunch of younger kids. I know my kids are getting older, but I'm gonna try to make it as encompassing as I can, as a good resource for you guys. If you have any questions, I'm always here down in the comments to help you along the way, or you can search for me over on Instagram at Homeschool-ology, and I'll answer direct messages over there. I'm always happy to help somebody who's just starting out, so don't be afraid to ask. And if you have not already, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you will see when the next videos are coming out. I try to post on Mondays and Wednesdays currently, but I'm thinking about switching to Mondays and Thursdays. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted on that. But I hope you will come back again and chat with me again real soon, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.